Hello and welcome to another ACHEMA Highlight Webcast. In the run-up to ACHEMA 2024, in this series of webcasts, we would like to give you some insight on what to expect at the event in June 2024 here in Frankfurt and give you a glimpse of the trends that shape and change the process industries, and that we cover in much more depth in the Congress, in the exhibition, on-site at ACHEMA. And one of the major topics this year, certainly, is pharmaceutical production. Now, pharma and medicine are changing rapidly. Instead of one-size-fits-all drugs, we are encountering ever more personalized, customized therapies based on biological mechanisms. And one important area there are the cell and gene therapies. But what does this mean for drug production and for research and development? That is what I would like to discuss with my expert today, and I'm very glad to introduce to you one of the international leading experts in the development and manufacturing of cell and gene therapies, Professor Dr. Ulrike Köhl, Director of the Fraunhofer Institute for Cell Therapy and Immunology in Leipzig, and Director of the Institute of Clinical Immunology at the University of Leipzig. Welcome, Professor Köhl.
Welcome to you as well. Happy to be here.
Professor Köhl, you are sometimes using the term living drugs to describe the new kind of therapies. Can you explain to us what you mean by living drugs?
Roughly speaking, we use the term living drugs to describe forms of therapy in which we make use of the activity of individual cells. It's not so firmly defined terms, so it can be stretched in various directions. But when we talk about living drugs, especially in the field of immune oncology of cancer, we usually mean cell and gene therapies, in which immune cells are induced to recognize and destroy cancer cells. They are modified to receive a new receptor on the cell surface and, like a key in a lock, bind and specifically kill the cancer cell. There are various aspects to this, e.g. where the cells come from, patient or donor, whether and how they are modified, viral or non-viral. What they all have in common is that living elements, the cells. This achieves or significantly support the medical effect, with great benefit so far in hematological disorders. This may seem trivial at the first glance, but it brings with it many challenges that need to be addressed, from development to production, approval, and ultimately clinical applications. The reason for this is simple. No two cells are the same, and no two patients are the same. And so this class of drug, if you want to call it so, holds not only great therapeutic potential, but also many challenges and pitfalls that we have to face significantly and socially.
Now, when we look at the production process, I can imagine that this is very different from a common pill or other kind of drug. So in terms of engineering and supply chain, what are the specific challenges we are facing here?
As I already mentioned, it's not only CAR therapeutics that are still exclusively patient-specific. This means that each drug is produced individual for each patient. Within, we should explain CAR, by the way. CAR stands for chimeric antigen receptor and means the new receptor I have already explained on the surface of the cells. Especially the manufacturing processes are currently still heavily characterized by manual work. Also, we are going step by step more and more into the automation. The supply chain therefore starts with the available manufacturing capacities and appropriately trained specific staff. This is always underestimated, by the way. As approval increases, so does the need for both. And at the latest, when CAR cell therapies become available also for oncology fields or autoimmune disease with high incidences, these two factors will be limiting. Adding to this are the everyday problems with the availability of critical starting materials like vectors or other starting materials that are indispensable for manufacturing or maintaining manufacturing operations. Here, we in Germany and Europe have become very dependent on third countries. The coronavirus pandemic as an example and the geopolitical development of recent years have painfully demonstrated that it makes sense to regain some technological sovereignty here, especially in Germany and Europe.
So I think there's a lot to do, not only for process engineers, but for them as well, because we need a kind of customizable plants on a probably miniature scale, more or less. But you already mentioned that we are lagging behind in this field. So what needs to be done? Who can do what in order to maintain or reach technical sovereignty?
Let us first look what is the problem and why we are behind. If I had to visualize the situation, I would use the image of a pair of scissors. One scissor blade symbolizes Europe and Germany, and the second scissor blade would be represented by US and China. The value chain extends from the joint to the tips. While we are still at eye level in terms of excellent basic research and technology development at the front of the value chain and therefore close to the joint, the greater the degree of development, the greater is the gap between the two worlds. And this is the problem. Clinical transfer development already takes place 90% outside of Europe, with only 5% of all car studies taking place in Germany. And this has to be changed. In other words, we are developing like world champions, but value creation is taking place elsewhere. So the answer to your question about reasons and solutions are and remain relatively boring, to my opinion. In many ways, we are simply standing in our own way. There's too much bureaucracy, too much promotionism, too little coordination and harmonization, too little cooperation between the relevant players. At all levels, it takes us here to get an animal testing application approved in our federal state, as an example. We need just as long to coordinate the data protection regulations between all partners in a normal multi-center trial. And also between clinicians in different federal states. And if we are not facing a global pandemic, then we need just as long for the approval of the process. In other parts of the world, by the way, 10 times as many studies are carried out in the same time. So we shouldn't be surprised that investors are more active in these countries than they are here. And now coming to the end, this is not intended a plea to make it 100% the same way like the other countries I have mentioned, the other part of the world. But if we want to bring technological sovereignty back to Europe, we need to harmonize regulations. We have to bring approval processes and reduce bureaucracy without compromising on safety and quality. We have to speed up there. Finally, we have to strengthen the establishment and expansion of interdisciplinary networks, especially in industrial academic partnerships. That's my vision.
Well, thank you very much for this vision, and I hope we will contribute at ACHEMA to make at least part of it come true, bringing stakeholders together. And I'm really looking forward to digging more into depth at ACHEMA and at your highlight session there. So thank you very much for being with us today, Professor Dr. Köhl.
It was a pleasure for me, and I'm looking very much to this great ACHEMA meeting.
Thank you. Goodbye. And if you want to be at ACHEMA and follow this and enter the discussion, you should mark your calendar right now for the highlight session on cell and gene therapies on Monday, the 10th of June at 1 p.m. But of course, we have pharmaceutical production all over the program. During the whole week, you will find exciting lectures, panel discussions, presentations on the pharma innovation stage. We have a lot of Congress sessions covering this. And if you need equipment or want to discuss the latest solutions available from the vendors, then you should hit the exhibition and find out what's on showcase there. So make sure to check out the program right now, get your ticket, and see you at ACHEMA 2024.